Hey, good morning, welcome back.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Oh, you guys sound sleepy. Good morning, welcome back.
Morning, sir.
That's better. All right, so, hey, today, really good news and bad news. Good news, we won't have a quiz in class today. Good news. Bad news, or actually better news, we'll do a discussion post on Canvas. So that'll be your quiz. So the stuff that we talk about today, I'm very passionate about it. I think we don't talk about it enough, and we should. And depending on which side of the coin you're at, you're either going to be part of the solution or you'll be part of the problem. Right? So as we discuss this today, I really want you to think about it and internalize it. Right? Apply it, dissect it. I want you to, when you get home, I know that you guys are busy, but when you get home, look it up. Look up some of these concepts, right? Look at some of the incidents that we're going to talk about. How can you, as an officer, bring this to the fleet? All right, so think about that, okay? Very important. So, warrior toughness. Toughness, to define toughness, how do we even define that, right? Like, what does that even mean? A lot of things, right? You can be mentally tough, you can be physically tough, you can be emotionally tough. All these are forms of toughness, right? How do you train for like physical toughness? How do you do that? Mr. Williams.
Just basic like physical conditioning, exercise.
Right, workout, increase the intensity, stuff like that. How do you train for emotional toughness? How do you do that? That's a little tougher, right? How do you train for mental toughness? How does the Marine Corps do it? Good.
The Marine Corps just kind of forces it upon you.
Right, and stress.
Induces stress. I was gonna say, like, you can challenge yourself, like, and, like, induce mental toughness.
Good, right? So you use training. When you go to the fleet, drive training. Training is important. Realistic, effective training. If you're just doing training and you're going through the motions, is it effective? It's not, right? If you as a DIBO, you're not working towards effective training, trust me, that training is not working for your sailors. If you're not pushing effective training, that training is not working for you. Does that make sense? Think about doing a fire drill, and every time you do the fire drill, we say, hey, don't pick up the hose because I don't want to reel it back in. Just kind of just touch the hose, and we'll simulate faking it out and pressurizing the hose, and we'll call it good, right? We'll do a drill. Now, a real fire happens, what's gonna happen? He's gonna go to the hose and touch it. He thinks he's done, right? Like, I touched the hose, that's it, fire's out. No, so effective training, that's why we go ahead and we fake out that hose. Sometimes we'll pressurize the hose. That induces stress. Noise, right? We'll shut off lights, simulate smoke, increase the stress level to try to simulate an actual environment, right? Because if you're just going through the motion, if you're just walking and nobody's taking it seriously, it's not effective. So that's mental toughness. It's impossible for you to train every single anomaly, every single variation. It's impossible. Do you agree with that? Okay. For every worst case scenario, there's always a what if on top of that. So it's impossible to train. So when we train, we'll do it at a spectrum. Are we familiar with the concept of ORM?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Operational risk management. Okay. So we'll classify risks, severity, how likely they are. So when we train, we look at things, how likely are they to occur? So I'll train for those things. Is it pretty likely for it to happen? I'll train for that. A fire, pretty likely on a ship. So we train for fires. A meteor striking a submarine, is that likely? Yes, so if you go, it's not a meteor, well, there isn't a meteor hitting the submarine like procedure, right? That's not a thing. So we'll train for the most likely. We'll also train for like the worst case scenario, even though it's a little less likely. That makes sense? That's kind of like that, like steam line rupture or like or reactor like primary leak, less likely, still can happen, but it's less likely, but it's just catastrophic, it's so bad that we should know what to do. Does that make sense? So you as officers, you're gonna fight that uphill battle. You have to get that chief involved. So get with your chief. If you don't have that chief buy-in and that LPO buy-in, it's not gonna be effective. They're gonna have the heartbeat of the division. And if you guys are at odds, it's not gonna work out. So you guys gotta be on the same page, right? And push for that effective training. So we're gonna go through a couple of stories, how my boat it progressed, right? You'll see the typical sailor, we'll talk about an electrician, I won't say his name, but they don't see themselves as warriors, right? They see themselves as their rate. I'm an electrician, I'm a machinist, whatever, X, Y, and Z. But that concept of, I'm a warrior, I'm here to fight the ship, I'm here to, go ahead and bring the fight to the enemy, it seems so far for the sailors, because we're on a ship. So I challenge you to bring that back. And how do you do that? Is by asking them questions. Say, hey, what would you do if, I don't know, this thing just blew up on you? What would you do? And you put them on the spot. And you induce that stress, because you just ask them a question, hey, kind of quizzing them, and make that like a daily thing, right? They'll challenge you at first, and because you'll be rubbing against the grain, but just keep at it. Keep at it until that culture adapts. Don't let it consume you and now you become complacent. Does that make sense? That's gonna be the easier one. That's gonna be the one you're gonna have to try to battle. But don't let that happen to you. All right? So warrior toughness is the whole concept of mind, body, and soul. Big program for them where they take a chaplain, a psychologist, and a Navy SEAL, and they talk about those three different aspects of toughness, right? We talked about physical toughness, emotional toughness, and mental toughness. It's the whole sailor. Keep in mind, sailors come from different backgrounds. Not everybody is brought up the same. Some people maybe came up from a rough background, Bronx, New York, right? Probably physically tough or emotionally tough. They'll fight you, whatever. But maybe they're mentally weak. Does that make sense? Not everybody has the same morals. Not everybody has the same upbringings. Granted, in boot camp, we'll try to give them a baseline, but how long is boot camp? 12, 14 weeks. 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Okay, so it's 8 weeks and up to a line, 17, 18 years of however you were brought up. It's not, right? So that's one of your challenges that you'll face. All right. So it all starts with being self-aware and mindfulness, right? You need to have self-awareness of where you are mentally, where you are physically, where you are emotionally, before you can go ahead and identify those things in others, right? There's some exercises that we're gonna talk about later, like talk about recalibrate, we'll talk about, you guys have heard of PMR, or progressive muscle relaxation, heard of that? Or a full body scan or a body scan. Exercise that you can do to help you with this, and we'll talk about those. Just know, in the heat of the moment, let's say right as the collision just happened, do you have time to do a full progressive muscle relaxation or a body scan? You probably don't, right? So you gotta do that ahead of time. You gotta mentally prepare now. Like, what would I do if this happened? When you're on watch, when you're flying your plane, what would I do if my main engine failed? What would I do if this failed? Keep asking yourself, right? What would I do if I try to shoot this missile and it doesn't go out? You already have a plan B going in your head. Does that make sense? All right. Who said everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth? Who said that? Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
I don't know, sir. That kind of sounds like a Mattis quote.
Mattis? Okay. Look, Mike Tyson. You guys know who Mike Tyson is?
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson, yeah. Right. Mike Tyson? You don't know who it is? Oh my God, we'll do a Mike Tyson montage. All right. Yeah, Mike Tyson, great heavyweight fighter. He's like 53 now, and he'll still knock somebody out. But he's a brawler, right? He knows, even like you read Sun Tzu, the plan, no plan